Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy. It is Wednesday, August 27th, 8:30 a.m. EST, and it looks like the Jerome Powell announcement gains might just hold on. We had Bitcoin move up, we had NASDAQ move up, we had a lot of things move around. And let's take a look at NASDAQ first. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin itself does look like it might be able to stay above a key level. So stick around for that. Also, before we get into the charts, get your free algo links in the description. Give us your name, fake name, real name. We don't care. We'll send you the algo, put you on a list for the workshop that's coming up. It will be a free workshop. And then every workshop after that will be paid. Okay, good. We're in the charts. We got the NASDAQ. This is the Powell pump. Friday, he talked about we're not going to have a 2% target. Now, what that means, okay, just so you understand it, it's dovish talk, but it might not be as dovish as everybody thinks. But what happened was, I don't know if it was 2008, I have to look it up, but Bernanke, 13 years ago, said, okay, we are going to have a 2% target for inflation. Right, so they want to keep inflation down to 2%. That was just a unilateral move by Bernanke, although he probably was taking orders. That's what he said. That's what he put in, and that's what happened. Well, that's gone now, and that caused markets to pump. And then they immediately sold off for Monday, and then into most of the Monday. Now, starting on Tuesday, markets started to head back up, and here we are on Wednesday with markets back, and I mean markets as in the NASDAQ, back to holding the gains. What's a little more interesting than the NASDAQ is the Dow. We're going to look at Bitcoin. Wow, can't even talk today. Wow. Hey, somebody wake me up. Somebody smack me. Give me some coffee. In fact, I'm going to try to drink the coffee while somebody smacks me. It'd be a very interesting exercise of coffee all over my shirt. To look at the algos on the NASDAQ. Okay. It's one of those things where it's bullish for now, right? And it can flip bearish at any moment. So if I were to back out and take a look at the daily chart for NASDAQ, we're at a point where it really does look like the volatility is gone. And a lot of that has to do with rates, interest rates. We know this, right? So the problem with the interest rates is that money is just not as cheap as it could be. Simple as that. When money is not cheap, it doesn't go into markets because, like, almost all the money going into the stock market, aside from your 401k contributions, a lot of that money is going to be borrowed money. You have your giants like, Bezos or, Zuckerberg or any of them, and what's his name, Elon Musk included. And what they do is they borrow money to put into stocks, right? And then what they do is they use 401k contributions as a way to slowly pay off those loans or exit. And when you borrow money to pay the bills, there's no taxable event. It's actually cheaper to do that than to pay the taxes right now. If we were to maybe get rid of the IRS, that problem might just go away. People would be okay with maybe selling their stocks because that will be the cheaper move. But that is theoretical, neither here nor there. What matters right now is the chart and why we're not seeing the NASDAQ make new highs as fervently as it did a month or two ago, okay, and also back last year. And it just seems that with the interest rates as quote unquote high as they are, people don't want to borrow money to put into the market. That's it. And all money is debt. Every single dollar that exists is debt, by the way. So to some degree, the interest rate is going to always affect how much money is pumped into the stock market. So, that's that. V the Gorilla is with us. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Yes. How are you?
Good. We're just talking about how, all money is debt. And when the money gets a little bit expensive, it doesn't flow into the stock market quite as readily.
Yeah, you got to love, the central banking fractional reserve concept. You got to love it.
Yeah, you got to love it. And so it is where we are, and that's fine. We're not going to disparage the game. We just want to understand the game. We can disparage it too. I mean, fine, disparage the game. But if it's going to get in the way of you making money, then you're making a mistake. Okay.
Correct.
If
you got to be pragmatic about it.
Yeah, be pragmatic. Just like, okay, fine, that's the game. Let's play it. Well, in this particular case, it does appear that the markets are starting to get into the nosebleed section. We're getting into the hypoxia. We're getting to where the jet engines don't have enough oxygen to create more lift. And so we're going to see if the NASDAQ can move all the way up past its highs. And this also will include the Dow, which is very interesting. We're going to look at the Dow after we look at Bitcoin. But for the moment, I would say we have some bullishness, at least in the short term, on the NASDAQ, right? But there have been some articles coming out in places like Zero Hedge and elsewhere saying that tech is overvalued. So we'll see how that goes. NASDAQ is widely tech. So let's look at Bitcoin. I would beware on NASDAQ. I would look to see how it behaves at that all-time high, which is about 24,060. And if it cannot pierce that, and if we start to see lower lows, we might get a bit of a rollover. We shall see. Remember, we might get also a rate cut in September. 25 basis points seems to be priced in, and yet we're not seeing a whole lot of action in the market. So it might be that we get either a surprise cut to push things higher, or we might just see the markets roll over. Okay, so Bitcoin right now holding above the key level at 112. Well, it's actually at 111, so it's below 112, but it is on a short-term upward trajectory. Doesn't mean that it will make it. Doesn't mean it's going to continue up, because 112 is still pretty well above price. But with price bouncing off of this area of liquidity, right? I did have a possible move up to where there was liquidity yesterday. We're going to take a look on the Kingfisher right now to see if this liquidity up at 115,000 is still there. Because if we can maintain a little bit of bullishness, price may pierce above 112 yet again and make its way up to grab that liquidity at 115 and probably liquidate a bunch of shorts that belong to the bears, which is just a typical thing during the bull market. And we have 114.2 to roughly 116.3. That's where the liquidity is now. So that zone has widened out. I'm not looking at it quantitatively, just as far as the levels are concerned. So we say 114.2 to 116.3. Let's put it on the chart. 114.2 to 116.3. There's 114.2. Here's 116.3, more or less. All right, so this is a pretty big zone for Bitcoin to go to. It doesn't mean it's going to go there, but if you look at the algos, I'd say they're relatively bearish as it stands right now. And that was on the daily, and the weekly is not looking good at all. But this 3-hour chart is a bit stubborn. So what can happen if I were to guess? I mean, look, this could go either way. And as I drew the other day, it really could go either way. This is on the daily chart. And this is what I drew, I think, yesterday. So price really could make its way up here on the way down. I don't think Bitcoin is ready to go make all-time highs at this point. I don't like, it doesn't matter what I like or don't like. The algos really don't support a move to all-time high. 50 or 75 basis point surprise cut in September might push markets in that direction. But aside from that, I think we're going to see Bitcoin go sideways to down for a while. I know a lot of people are thinking if Bitcoin goes below 108, that's all she wrote. I wouldn't say that at all.
No, not at all.
I would say
it could drop to 80. It could drop to 64,000, and that's not all she wrote. You got to understand how vital this is to the larger Wall Street scheme. It's not going anywhere.
When I say all she wrote, I'm referring to the current bull cycle, right? The current 4-year cycle.
Yeah, why don't you clarify that, cowboy? You're scaring all of us, man.
Yeah, well, just sell your Bitcoin, everybody. It's going to end. No, a lot of people think that 108 is the key level. I disagree with that. I would say that if Bitcoin broke below 98,000 and stayed below 98,000 for like a week, even if it came back up and retested and continued down, that might be like, okay, maybe the bull cycle is done. Maybe. Bitcoin is extremely volatile. And like V just said, it's very important to a lot of people. So right now, it seems to me that, if you looked at Colin on what do you call it? Colin.ai did some quant data over on X saying that right now the crowd is moving between Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we could take a look at Ethereum real quick before we go on to the private live lab here, because it is time. And Ethereum's holding up rather nicely. And this is what I drew, again, just the other day. And as long as we continue to see these sort of lower highs with Ethereum like this, it'll probably break upwards. We talked about it. I've got a target. If there is an upside breakout, I got a target around 55, maybe 5,600, probably like 5,500, 5,550. That would be an upside breakout. But we do need to continue to see these higher lows right here for that to work out. So we'll see. Algorithmically, last I looked, high time frame Ethereum did have a lot of juice, and there is all kinds of news about lots of important people buying Ethereum, massive inflows of Ethereum into their ETFs. So it might be that they want to go ahead and shake and bake Ethereum and make it into the next big ETF game. That might be what's going on here. So, there may be some profit taking on Bitcoin to fund that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And according to the flows, a lot of the money is doing just that, rotating back and forth between Ethereum. Not seeing a ton of excitement on Solana according to that data. And we'll talk about Solana in the private live lab. So we're going to move over there. V the Gorilla, can you help us make the transition?
I'm all about transitioning.
Yeah.
Guys, follow us over algofactory.tech. Join us in the live lab where you not only learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro, but you understand the broader geopolitical, geostrategic issues that affects markets in advance. Learn how to position yourself in profit in chaos. The Chinese proverb for profit opportunity and chaos is the same word, man. It's the same word. So join us over there, algofactory.tech.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die. We love you.